I know this looks pretty darn ugly, but this looks sick. How is that not cool? Okay, so this is what I miss about like Yu-Gi-Oh in the 2000s, where Yu-Gi-Oh was more than just a card game. You got anime, you got manga for it. It was a clothing line. It still kind of is a clothing line like right now, but there's just like no room for innovation of turning the IP or brand of Yu-Gi-Oh into something that is just off the wall. Like Capsule Monsters is really sick because you're turning Yu-Gi-Oh cards into little capsules and you play it kind of like chess. And they had like these like role-playing games with like Yu-Gi-Oh. A buddy of mine is playing like Minecraft, like a Minecraft like modded game with Yu-Gi-Oh monsters being in it. The Yu-Gi-Oh VR thing gets more views than anything you see from like Yu-Gi-Oh content creators themselves. We have like a Yu-Gi-Oh RTS game that came out in the late 2000s. I don't get, why is this not a thing? Like, why is there this like complete lack of creativity in terms of trying to make the Yu-Gi-Oh brand a lot more cooler or try to expand upon it? Like, I really am just tired of just the anime and then the card game, and then they try. Like, here's the thing with Konami. They try. They really do try to make the IP of Yu-Gi-Oh a lot more diverse, but not as much as they used to, where they have stuff like Rush Duels, they have Speed Duels, but it's still just a card game. They want to turn Yu-Gi-Oh to a board game. That didn't pan out well. They made all these weird like GameCube, Xbox, and PS2 like Yu-Gi-Oh games that just had nothing to do with the actual card game, and they were super sick. Like Yu-Gi-Oh Forbidden Memories is a terrible card game simulator. Yet stuff like Forbidden Memories gets way more traction than the actual regular Yu-Gi-Oh game. That's something to point out. Yu-Gi-Oh content creators and the content that they make will never surpass or get the same appeal as people who don't make Yu-Gi-Oh content, but then they decide to make Yu-Gi-Oh content for that day. And you know why that is? It's because like the Yu-Gi-Oh bubble is own self-contained thing, where we laugh at stuff like Maxi and we talk about ban lists and we talk about what's considered, like overpowered or underpowered, power creep, blah, blah, blah. Like, here's a meta for freaking August or July. Is tier limits, tier 0 a bad thing? Like, that's what we care about within the bubble, but we don't care about innovation for the actual brand or IP of Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's very strange to me that somebody who really is trying to make something creative out of Yu-Gi-Oh, which was like Yu-Gi-Oh Bridge from Lil Kribo, he like at least he's doing something with it. He's trying to make and honestly, Yu-Gi-Oh Bridge appealed to an entirely brand new audience and made people get into the game more. So that's something that I would like for the brand of Yu-Gi-Oh. Make it be something more. Why can't we try new innovative ways to make Yu-Gi-Oh to be more than just a card game? I understand it's a card game, but you can do more with it. You really can. Heck, Pokemon, they're way more creative with their brand and their IP with how they handle their games. Like, it's more than just a card game. It's an actual, like, console game. It's a handheld game. They have a fighting, they have a detective game. They have, like, an RPG game going on. They also have, like, they tried something else. They did Pikachu. But they're always trying to find innovative ways for, they had a fighting Pokemon game. Why don't we have a fighting Yu-Gi-Oh game? I'm just saying that, like, why is it that Pokemon are willing to go take more risks being the bigger IP that it is, more than Yu-Gi-Oh? And maybe it's a strange thing that I've kind of noticed that comes along with the gaming industry. This also happened with like Nintendo also, where a lot of people are very, 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 very afraid and intimidated of innovation. Like, there's a reason why a lot of us are very like excited and giddy whenever sequels come out, and there's a reason why Marvel movies are the way that they are. It's because Hollywood doesn't want to try any new innovative stuff, which is why there's like Fast 11 and there's like the 20th Marvel movie, or we're seeing another superhero movie, because people generally realize that it's not good to spin the wheel and to innovate and to try something new that's risky for the brand. Because it makes, and I understand, so it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense in the sense of you're taking a risk where you could potentially like minus hard in terms of the income you're gonna make. Like you could have potentially wasted millions of dollars producing this like new Yu-Gi-Oh fighting game, and then nobody wants to play it because the Yu-Gi-Oh players don't care about the fighting game. They care about the card game. They care about freaking Ash Blossom's feet. Like they don't care about the fighting game thing. There's a reason why like, a lot of like Yu-Gi-Oh content creators, with the exception of like TGS Anime, ever talk about the Yu-Gi-Oh anime itself. I think Yu-Gi-Oh would be a lot more better and would be a lot more successful and would actually get people to get into the game, the card game of Yu-Gi-Oh itself, if it was just a lot more of appealing and it stopped. Like I really feel like Konami are playing the safe route here. They're being safe with the brand of Yu-Gi-Oh. That's why they're only sticking to card games. Card games, the Yu-Gi-Oh anime, they're going to try something with Yu-Gi-Oh like speed duels or rush duels. And then like they're going to have a clothing brand with Yu-Gi-Oh. They'll have a shoe deal with Yu-Gi-Oh. But that's about it. I miss innovation. I miss it when people were trying to innovate with what they had. And it scared off a lot of people. I get that. I really get it. I understand that there are people who just don't like anything new and they just love like the formula. Like keep the formula as it is. Heck, there even Yu-Gi-Oh players who are like that, who like they hated Master Duel 4. Then Master Duel 4 in hindsight was freaking amazing because it brought a new audience of Yu-Gi-Oh, a new people getting to Yu-Gi-Oh because it reset the game. And the people within the bubble of Yu-Gi-Oh hated that, but the bringing in a Master Duel 4 made people get into Yu-Gi-Oh. Konami, I think right now, I think they care too much. I think they care way too much about their audience and their fan base. Even though we complain about Konami all the time. Like, oh man, they don't know what they're doing. Here's what I would do. Here's my custom ban list. Here's my custom card that would fix the game of Yu-Gi-Oh. Truth is, that is not how you make Yu-Gi-Oh great or popular. You do stuff that's outside our bubble. It's very safe. I get it. It's very safe. The current landscape of Yu-Gi-Oh as it is right now, where our biggest concern is whether or not Maxi should be freaking limited or banned in Master Duels. Like that's our biggest issue in the community. You serious right now? Why are we talking about that? Why aren't we talking about ways to make the Yu-Gi-Oh brand a lot more appealing? Why is it that Yu-Gi-Oh content creators will always struggle behind people who don't make Yu-Gi-Oh content? I want new and fresh stuff to happen with Yu-Gi-Oh, and I don't see anything coming out of that anytime soon. I just don't. Unless there's some person out there who's like, I'm willing to take the risks, I'm willing to take the criticism, like some artsy person who's like, I want to make something awesome and brand new with Yu-Gi-Oh. Now they're gonna be like ridiculed upon by almost everyone, but at least you're trying something, and I'd prefer someone to try something than nothing. There's so much like this. Like, who cares about Metal Dragon? No one cares about Metal Dragon at all. But the fact you attempted it, man, I got to, like, give you props for it. Like, that to me is cool and sick. Duel Links is really cool and sick. If only its monetization stuff weren't that bad.